Charles
Yeah,
is
it's
like,
the day after
hello,
Valentine's Day.
we
That's
gotta
kinda
work.
significant.
It is. Why has your life been crazy the last 2 weeks, Scooter?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a sec.
Look at my sick hoodie.
Oh shit.
I'm a girl dad, dude.
You're a girl dad!
You're a girl dad too.
What's
I joined the
up?
club. It's
Yeah.
an exclusive club. You two don't know about it. Sorry.
Yeah,
Alright.
Scooter had his baby.
I'm a dad now.
What's that like, dude?
It's weird.
You're
'Cause
like 2 weeks into it?
yeah, I always used to think like that would come so much further in my life, and I like growing up, it was always like, oh, being a dad, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm a dad.
Soy pop.
It's crazy.
What's
I-
up, everybody?
I don't
Welcome
know.
to another podcast here. Happy Rabbit.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back, baby.
We back.
Scooter's
going,
back
bud?
with a baby.
I'm running on like an hour of sleep. We got newborn, so we're doing the classic every 2 hours, but it's been awesome. I'm at a loss for words. I
After
think
all those night shoots probably helped you prepare for that then.
Oh, 100% though. It's funny because Mer's like, you need sleep, and I'm like, I'm fine. Like I literally could go days. She's like, you need sleep.
He says that, but then he never answers his phone.
Cause you guys have been calling me literally like the time I'm sleeping. I'll wake up to like 8 missed calls, and I'm like, oh my god, they probably
The 1
just
hour he chooses to sleep.
Literally.
The 1 hour Charles needs him.
literally. That's
He's like,
how
"Bro,
it's
the camera
been.
exploded. I don't know what to do.
I'm like, bro, you dead?
Good, bro?
So yeah, we got a little baby girl. Everything went smooth. Miranda crushed it. It was just clean, awesome pregnancy.
I mean, she didn't crush it.
That would have been really bad, actually.
She like pushed it out.
Well, oh my god, she did an awesome job.
She job well.
No one can prepare you for that situation though mentally, as far as just experiencing a life come into the world. I've never seen it with someone else. Never been around a newborn that's been like younger than a month old, and just being around like that just innocent life form. Is there something so like pure about it? You can't put words on it. It's like they're so innocent. They're just like there. It's cuter than a puppy, for sure.
Look at that line from Scrubs, where it's like,
I love
it's like having a dog that learns how to talk, right?
I used to always think puppies were better, and especially with other people's babies. I'm like, bro. But now that it's my own kid, I'm like, it's awesome.
I feel like parents, like, I know mine for sure think I'm the best kid in the world, but I feel like every parent, once you have your own baby, it's like...
What Alex is
this
trying to
one's
say
best.
is he's really loved.
I am very loved.
Your parents
Think
do
about all
love
of his
you.
emotional needs met as a child.
Yes, my father wasn't around, but my mother took care of it.
Your mom is, yeah, I love him. We met him at the film expo. They came by, and that was the first time we met him. And your dad was just, I love it.
Zero
Your mom's like,
spatial
I need a
awareness.
hat, I need a T-shirt, I need some stickers. Alex is like, okay.
It's coming out of my account, Mom. You know that.
I showed up at Alex's house the other day, and I knocked on the door, and his dad just like looks out the window, like, and like just walks away. And I'm like, okay, I'll call Alex. I don't know what just happened.
My dad stopped over real quick. He wanted to talk to me about some rent stuff at my mom's property, and he's just getting madder and madder and madder. And it's right when Dakota shows up. And my dad has this dog that I blessed our family with. It's a mini blue heeler, and he's extremely aggressive.
He's
towards
crazy.
Anything. And Dakota decided, in the heat of mine and my dad's talk, because I helped my mom with some money and stuff, and I was like, I don't have the money to do this right now. And he was getting heated, and Dakota decides to knock on the door, and my dog's like, "Argh!" And my dad just lost his mind. He's like, who the hell would be at our door? Like, what the hell?
I'm ready to edit.
Poor Dakota.
He's my friend. And he's like, why? It's 11 o'clock on a Wednesday. Do you not work? Do you not do things? I'm like, this.
He's a work
No.
friend.
We don't work.
We don't work. We just,
Make podcasts.
rock climb.
Dakota, you just did you just finished up a big you went and helped him out on that, right?
Yeah.
You guys just did a little short film or
Yeah.
a little project. What
Tell
was
us about that.
Yeah, dude, I'd love to tell you about that. So it was my friend Taylor. It was her senior capstone project for UVU Film School. And I was really excited when she reached out to me about this because since you guys know I did my VR film last semester as my senior capstone, I was really excited to do that, but I knew that meant I was going to miss out on the traditional experience of being a DP on like a student project. So this was a really cool thing for me because it allowed me to like have my cake and eat it too, in a way. I could make my VR piece, and then the semester after I graduated, came back and got to DP this really cool project. So it's called That's Not My Fault. And it's kind of like a Knives Out murder mystery. It's kind of like the mood and tone of it. It's about these like two girls or sisters. They run away from home, kind of getting away from like an abusive relationship with their parents. And then they find this like abandoned mansion, and they come to find out it's not as abandoned as they think. There's someone kind of watching them and seeing what they're up to while they're exploring and doing their thing. And eventually the whole thing kind of turns into chaos when like a big party shows up, a bunch of teenagers here to drink and turn up and have a good time. And eventually someone gets killed. So the whole thing kind of descends into madness in a really fun way. So I really enjoyed being a part of that production. It was a massive learning experience for me. I'm from much more of a YouTube background, run and gun, and like that's also very much how I've done my lighting consistently. Is like I don't really do lighting charts. I don't really have like top-down diagrams and that kind of thing. Like it's kind of like a sense to me. I feel it out. I'm like, okay, I'm here. Like, I really think a tube light here would do well, and then let's bounce a 600X off that, and like we should be like, that was much more my kind of on the fly style of lighting, and so that was definitely like a rude awakening for me. That like that doesn't work in a production like this. Like you have to have like, okay, you're on your last take for this shot, so that you got to go tell your grip team that they got to go set up the next shot, and it's like. I just wasn't working that way, and so it was super humbling for me to like highlight some of the errors, some of the things that I still have space to learn. But then it also helped me exercise some of my strengths in motion and camera. And I had a fantastic camera team. Alex came and helped out as my second AC. I had these awesome girls, Maya and Marlene, as my camera team for most of the other days. And yeah, it was just a huge learning opportunity for me, going from being more of a solo operator to really working with a full camera team. Like,
it's
many
it's
lessons
way
learned.
different
It's
being
a
that
lot.
kind of like run and gun, one man style YouTube DSLR type stuff versus finding a cine camera with all the team
Yeah.
that comes together to like make that shot happen. It's a humbling experience for sure, because you realize like one person doesn't get the job done. You need people that you can rely on and that know what the hell they're doing, or the whole thing falls apart quickly.
But on the
100%.
other side of it, it was really relieving to me that being like, okay, I know the camera needs to go right in front of the record player on a 32mm lens, and I know these lights need to be moved here. I could just tell my camera team to do that, tell my lighting team to do that, and go eat snacks for 2 minutes and come back, and those are done.
Yeah.
Which for me, that was mind-blowing, because I've always been like, okay, I'm going to go move the camera there, I'm going to go swap the lens, I'm going to go change the lights, and then I'll tell the director when I'm ready, because that's how I've shot. So literally just like having a team do my stuff for me was also such a change of pace. Like, well, yeah, finding balance on either side of that was a lot for
It was
me.
very interesting because when I came into second for the day, Marley, was she your
First,
first?
yeah.
She was your first team. You guys have trained me way better than I thought, and that's a big thank you to
Yeah.
you guys, because I didn't really understand necessarily what you're training me to do. You know, in a sense, I know what you're training me to do, but I don't know
You know,
why.
the context.
Yeah, I
for-
didn't have context behind it. But like when I was helping with Marley, like you guys were a team. When we do stuff, we all move gear, we all do this stuff, and I would grab her screen, or I'd grab, you know, her follow focus, and I'd move it into the next room where she would need to be set up, and she just like had never seen these sort of things before. She was like,
Oh, thanks.
yeah, and or she would go to pick up things. I'm like, no, that's me, and I'd like take her things, and it was really fun to finally put kind of that voice behind why you guys trained me to do these things, because it made such a huge difference. I feel like from what almost they're being taught to do in film school. I do feel from what I saw and from what you guys have taught me to be streamlined on set, there is a very big difference in what they're teaching versus what they necessarily need to know on a set.
Yeah.
You guys taught me such a streamlined version of things, and like it makes things function very smoothly and very quickly, versus when I was on set, I noticed not necessarily they're taught in an old way, but they are in a sense where they haven't adapted to kind of these newer things. That
I was
are
just about to
happening.
use that word, adapt.
Yeah, they
Like
haven't
you have to
adapted.
adapt to your crew essentially,
Yeah.
because those core elements that they teach you in film school are the same core elements, we started like with you. Essentially, it's how well are you able to adapt those and grow off of those with your team. Like if Charles is better at one thing and my second AC lacks in another, as a first AC, I'm going to find that like lane.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing that makes a good AC versus not, is looking at the big picture and seeing how am I going to help the team versus just do what the book says. That's my job.
100%.
I also feel like too. I feel like this is an issue in Utah, is that there is a disconnect between modern day filmmaking versus the professors that aren't
Huge.
necessarily in the industry anymore, like they were maybe like 5-10
in their prime.
kind of years ago. And like because it kind of seems to be the trend here in Utah where it's like you work on all these things and then you turn like late 50s early 60s and then you're like, I'm gonna go teach it at whatever university is in town, and then we have like 4 to choose from.
Then like, yes, definitely, like you have to take the principles of like the universal principles of filmmaking and apply them to the specific scenarios, which I think is sometimes where the gap happens. It's like, I know the practical information. I know technically I could put this piece of wood here and this piece of wood here and a nail there, and that's the corner for a birdhouse. But like, can I build the birdhouse? It's like a totally different conversation.
100%.
And like, there has been a gap in time with a lot of these professors. Last year was the first time we got a Pterodec. And guess what? When they gave it to me, it didn't work. So I had to call Charles up and borrow his Pterodec. Like, last semester was the first time we got a nucleus. My entire school before that, we had been pulling directly on the camera. Like, it is absolutely old school. And, like, modern filmmaking does not work. Like, the monitor we have is literally in a giant silver case. It's like a 24-inch Field World monitor.
I was so interested with it. I was like,
a C-stand or anything.
It was a briefcase.
Put it on an Apple box.
It's like the ICANN one that comes in the case.
I was like, where's your
like
monitor?
that.
And he's like,
Just
the
like that.
briefcase. And I'm like, oh, I'll pull it out. And I like open it.
Nope,
and
it's you pull the top off and it's in that
Yeah.
case. It's just like, it's very, very old school. And so there's definitely been like this really beautiful thing where like Alex's confidence and being on so many features in this last year, he had like a level of understanding that like the other students actually didn't have. And so instead of coming in to be as a day player, he actually came in as like a leader on set and like a role model for a lot of these people, which I think was really, really interesting. He used that to his advantage to network with all these people. Because like I 100% feel if I hadn't been doing like Mr. Beast YouTube videos, if I hadn't been doing Nitro Cross with you, if I hadn't been doing like we're going out of my way to work at Enigma 3, like if I hadn't gone out of my way to make the most out of my college experience, I would have graduated with almost zero knowledge.
I feel bad for him because like one of the things that blew my mind, I was talking to, I won't call them out, but one of the people on set, I was asking them, what are your plans for after school? You got 1 semester left. What are you gonna do? Expecting, I'm gonna try to hop into this production company. I'm gonna try to go work for this.
For these guys,
I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna get into film. Right. I'm gonna continue on. I think I asked 4 or 5 different kids. One of them said he was gonna do whatever you can do to stay in film. The other ones were like, man, I don't know. Like, I think I'm probably gonna work like a normal job and like save up some money and like pay off school, and then like if the opportunity comes up, I'm ready though. For
my
it.
uncle works
And
at
I'm like,
Vivint, so I'm just gonna get a job in the call center and just wait till the director hits me up.
it blew my mind, bro. I was like, you
Interesting.
guys have spent 4 years and all of this hard-earned money, and you're not gonna apply it.
Well, hang on a sec though. So like, to me, that's a disconnect from the university in creating opportunities for
There's
those
no ramp out
those
for them.
kids to meet.
I think of welding school.
filmmakers.
Like if you're in welding school, your teacher at your welding college is getting you contracts with all these major welding companies, and right out of school, you're almost guaranteed a salary position.
Exactly. Yeah.
In film, it's actually the exact opposite, which needs to change. Like it needs to change, because if you're training kids and you're working for 4 years, spending a lot of money to learn something, I think there needs to be a better avenue, like what you're saying, to
Well,
get these kids on
It's
set.
interesting to me too, because I'm like, dude, like, I don't understand why these universities aren't reaching out to like people like us that work in all these film sets that could be potentially hiring these
I would
next
love,
generation.
I would love a
That's what happened to
professor
me.
to hit me
Yeah.
up
Literally
and
what happened to me is you guys showed up to my Cine 3 class, and I recognized Scooter from social media, basically begged him to take me on a little bit, sent him about 9 cold DMs, and then eventually I got one back. It took
why
some-
is that a common theme?
There's a thing here with Scooter, man.
No, well, and I'm just gonna say it straightforward, and we've already talked about this with Alex's stuff, is we get that a lot.
Yeah.
We get a lot of people who are fresh out of film school, not necessarily put in the work, not necessarily know the knowledge, and they just want to be on set. They just want to be here, and we have spent a lot of time and effort building what we have built, to where to just like let someone just like, come jump on set with us, dude. It's like there needs to be a little bit of that. You have to show us you want it. You have to like
there's the proving ground.
Yeah, you got to
Yeah,
put in a little.
for
I mean,
sure.
shit. Charles wouldn't even take me serious till like 2 years in working with him, where he was like, "Okay, this kid actually wants to work in film."
Charles still doesn't take me seriously. He's been weird.
I'm not sure where I sit with Charles.
So to that point though, I think there is some like kind of that old school mentality, which
Yeah.
I wish we had more of.
It's kind of
And
scary.
I feel like when I got in, it was still pretty like hardcore, but I think kids feel like they just deserve it now and they just walk on set, and it's like these guys have been doing it for 20, 30 years. Like, no, they deserve it. They put in the time and effort, and like us young bucks have to like work for it and prove ourselves. And like that disconnect is like it literally like we were talking about it before this podcast, but it bends my brain that these kids can just think they come into the film industry and it's just handed to them.
Do you think it's rooted in ego, or do you think it's that they don't know what they don't know?
That. I don't
Think it's
think
the
'cause
latter?
there is ego obviously that comes with these things, and it's along anything you do in life. But the people that are teaching you are the ones that need to teach you these things. They taught me. I'm not gonna go out and be like I'm a DP because I've designed a couple shots or something.
Yeah.
The people that are teaching these kids and setting them up are the ones setting them up for failure because they're not
I think
teaching them
a
right.
big part of that for me would be Brent Geisler and guiding me in that direction of where I was as a freelance YouTube filmer, videographer, to trying to be a filmmaker and like jump into this world. I think Brent guided me a lot in the sense of like, hey, slow your roll.
Yeah.
Like, you're great over here, but you're very subpar over here.
Yeah.
And like, let's find a way for you to balance that out. And he introduced me to Charles, introduced me to Cope, and introduced me to these people that was like, wait a few years and you'll know when it's right. And I did. It was a few years, and now I like know when it's right.
I think part of it is now is like things are so readily available and easily accessed, right, to people. Like, your parents buy you a freaking cell phone in middle school or elementary school, whatever, right?
There are children this tall walking around with iPhones this big.
Yeah, right. And then all of a sudden you have like this filmmaking device as a 10 or 11-year-old, and I think that accessibility, especially in America, like.
And the instant gratification of social media, like
that's the other part of it too. Is like all of a sudden,
likes.
as an 11-year-old, you have this cell phone in your pocket that like can shoot amazing content. You have all these social platforms to where Scooter didn't put his phone on airplane mode. You have all these social platforms to where you can like distribute your own content. And I think it goes straight to people's brains. It's like, well, no, I film stuff and people watch it, and like now I'm a DP or
I get
I make
100,000
movies.
views on my YouTube channel, and like I've met a lot of big YouTubers, multiple millions of subscribers that don't know half, even a quarter of the stuff we know about cinema cameras and set and that kind of thing. But they are on bigger sets. They're on their YouTube style sets. And it's a full, just different world. Yeah. And I think a lot of the people come from... Here's the thing. Filmmaking, being a filmmaker is a career. Yeah. Videographer, I think, is a little bit of a niche. Yeah. It's a job. Yeah.
I think it's a career, too. Like, you could be a videographer for a company, and you could be creating videos for them. But I wouldn't necessarily say because you work for a company filming stuff that you're a filmmaker.
Yeah.
You're a videographer. And there is very much a distinct difference between somebody that works for corporate doing corporate video, whether that's filming commercials or interviews, ads, like
internal videos.
Those. That's very much videographer things. Whereas you're a filmmaker doing narrative stories. Now, also, I would say commercials kind of fall in the gray area. You know,
a little bit of a Venn diagram there.
Yeah, but like, you know, filmmaking is very much its own unique niche.
But
videographer
is a lame name. So
it
everyone has to pretend like
it kind of is a lame name.
Videographer sounds like a freaking loser.
Here's the thing.
Filmmakers because it sounds cooler without actually earning that title.
Maybe that's what the problem is.
Right?
You know, maybe we need to change the name from
videographer.
It's like
videographers, so whatever.
And
because they're both respectable.
I was about to say,
they're both
I don't
great
mind
jobs.
videographers, and I'm gonna be honest, there are some videographers that are better at capturing certain
100%.
things than I am. We were actually looking at some Instagram pages where these videographers for social media capture these things like incredible. They're not telling a story.
Well, they are,
but it's incredible
in their own way.
In their own way, but it's incredible what they're creating.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily a story.
Yeah.
It's not a film.
Well, it's different in the sense like
It's not a narrative.
It's
project.
it's one thing to like walk in, like, and I feel like anybody can do this, right? Anybody can go to the store and buy a DSLR or use your cell phone or whatever, right? And
Blackmagic's app on the new iPhone.
or
So good.
or even a Blackmagic camera. You know,
Yeah.
you have Nikon's, all these cameras that shoot 8K RAW, whatever, right? And I feel like anybody can go to the store, buy one of these cameras, and go film content that looks amazing. But that doesn't mean that you are a filmmaker,
No.
because a filmmaker not only can do that, but they can turn around 180 degrees and make sure that this shot matches that shot.
Well,
So if you
and
buy a
I want
chainsaw
to take it
and cut down a
one step
tree,
further too.
love it.
I would
Yeah.
I would argue, and I mean you could then break it down a little more, but like I would argue a filmmaker does more than just they're doing like the post production, they're doing the creative, they're making the film. Now, obviously in filmmakers you can break it down from like director, producer, and then all these
You got the 300 people that work on the film
300
set.
people
right.
that make it to be. That's kind of the hard thing
Well,
between
there's your best
videographer and
point.
filmmaker, right?
300 people into one thing versus one person trying to create something.
Yeah.
with maybe a couple people,
And-
maybe a couple hands.
And
Right.
here's the
But,
thing:
like,
is I have respect for
scale.
videographers just as much as filmmakers because I look
Exactly.
at that and I go, "This is easier with 300 people, but also harder,
Yes.
and this is easier with one person, but also harder
Yeah.
in completely different ways."
Yeah, and that's why I mean they're separate
separation.
things, both respectable, but you don't like.
I've met really
don't-
bad videographers and I've met really bad filmmakers,
Yeah.
and the opposite.
Yeah.
So
Look
it's
at
like,
Madam Web.
Which I mean, honestly, Scooter, you mentioned something earlier that like going from a YouTube world jumping into filmmaking, it's like a reset. It's like a prestige in Call of Duty.
Mhm.
You're like back to
100%.
level 1, and like.
oh wait,
I
that's a
think-
great analogy. It's a prestige in Call of Duty
'Cause you
because
level
you
up
know
your
how to play the
permanency,
game,
but
but
you're
you're
level one.
restarting at
Yeah.
level 1.
100%.
That's a good.
Because like for me, I had to have a huge wake up call, and you were luckily so graceful and humble about it. Like I came in hot. I was like, cool. So like I'm a camera operator for Beast. So like you're gonna put me in as a camera operator, right? And you were just very politely like, yeah, man, maybe we'll try you out as a utility, see how that goes. And like as I've been working more and more with you guys, and the reality that like meeting the other guests that we've had, and hearing more about your conversations about the film industry, it's humbled me a lot and really understanding like I am level 1 now. Like I'm a prestige level 1, but I am literally back to level 1.
Well-
I am in a new pond with different fish than I've ever been with.
And
So
I wa-
learning how to swim in that pond has been a learning process. For
I
me.
want to
That's
say
a good
that
way
too.
to-
You're not in
good
the
way to
pond
say it.
anymore. You're in the sea.
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
got to
well
figure
said.
out how to
Well
survive
said.
in the sea.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Totally. I was
that-
in a lake for a long time, and now I'm like literally in the ocean.
Yeah.
Like it's a big jump.
That's
Yeah.
that's the difference. And the biggest thing of, and I think you took it how I meant it, but just to explain like to the audience is Alex kind of approached me with that same thing when he kind of came in, and I said, look, like you got to prove to everyone here, you earn it. You got to prove to everyone on this set that you deserve to be here.
Yeah.
Because right now, 99% of the people are talking to their buddy, going, "Why the fuck is he here?"
Yeah.
Because they've met 10 other people that work just as good or harder than you,
Mhm.
and they know that it's going to work out.
Yeah.
And so that's my biggest thing is like, I can't just bring you on as a camera operator and tell Joe that you're going to be great, and then I walk away, and if you do bad, that's my reputation on the line too.
100%.
So it's like this build of trust
Mhm.
as we grow and as you shoot, and like Alex has seen it. Like I will
cool
now,
process.
if someone calls me, I could say Alex can second AC for your movie
Mhm.
and not be there.
Yeah.
I'm confident that he can handle his own without me there.
Yeah.
With you, we haven't been on feature films together. I don't know that yet.
Yeah, all I've done
And
is
so-
run and gun stuff.
Yeah, and,
Nitro.
and I know how many times have I called you. There was one shoot that I had a client who we were doing some stuff for a restaurant that I couldn't make, and it was like 11 o'clock at
Yeah,
night.
yeah.
I said, hey, can you go shoot this for me tomorrow? This is what you need to do. I didn't even give you that much detail, but I knew because of your YouTube and videography world, you could handle that night and day, and you did. I didn't even give you any direction. You exported everything to me, sent it to the client, done. I didn't even go
I
on
was
set.
exporting while I was driving back home from Ogden.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that's the type of shit that I fuck with as a videographer, because I'm the dude editing on a plane ride home from
Yep.
my set, getting
Yep.
the client the stuff as soon as I land.
Yep.
And so like that's why I could trust you with that.
Yep.
And as we build that in the filmmaking
Now,
world,
like, pushes its way in.
and as Charles gains that, and that's the idea there is people, you can't just jump into shit and say
Yeah,
trust me
your
with
ticket to ride is earned.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was a very humbling experience, and
Mhm.
I think that hopefully those of us that come after us will have a simpler time learning
And
that lesson. They
it's
don't necessarily need to go through the school of hard
I
knocks
learned
to
it
get
though.
that.
Charles
Yeah.
humbled the.
They've
Yeah.
humbled the fuck
There
out
was
of me
times
for the
where
last
Charles
year.
looked at me and said, "Bro, you don't know how to shoot shit. Like, shut your mouth and listen."
Yeah.
Like literally though, because I came in from the YouTube world thinking I was the stuff plus some. Why am I not a director on a
Yeah,
movie?
Exactly.
Well, it's
Yeah.
different.
He
right?
asked me, "Do you remember what you asked me what I wanted to do on a movie set?" And I said, "I want to direct."
You're like, shut the fuck up.
Bro, I was like, "I want to direct these feature films," and
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, like 20 something at the time, like
Yeah.
very young, and
Yeah.
had no business even saying that.
Yeah.
I should have came in saying I'll be a PA and take out the trash.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you don't know, right?
I
And
didn't
that's
know.
You
and
have
I
to
think
learn that.
that's where it comes from is like you just don't know when you're starting out. And when you have all this stuff accessible to you, you're just like, yeah, I'm a freaking DP. Like I shoot stuff on my phone all the time, you know?
Yeah.
And like you just don't know. But when you
That
get
was-
on a set and there's literally 100 people on a film set, you have transpo, you have these semi trucks full of equipment, you have these grips that look
Well-
like they're gonna freaking beat the shit out of
Yeah.
you.
Well, and you have
know, for,
transpo.
like, looking
If
at
you
them
look at them wrong
sideways,
when they're
right?
smoking, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you have transpo that's been there for 40 years in the
Yeah.
industry who knows everyone, and now you're the new guy on set going to the camera
Yeah.
truck with your breakfast, and he looks at you, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Get off my truck.
Yeah.
Get off
You're-
my
you're-
truck.
You're the
You're
new
not-
kid at school.
And
Yeah.
you're like,
You act that way.
you're like, wait,
Yeah.
you're like, wait, can I put my winter gear on the truck? And he's like, no, until the first AC comes over and says, hey, this is our utility, he's new, let him on the truck,
yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
thing. Like,
and so there's like that difference, and that's where I say it's like
In-group, out-group.
the filmmakers versus videographers, like they're both respectable in their own worlds, but like the crossover,
Separate
like
worlds.
you have to keep them separate. Like there is like if you do video stuff, please like say that you do video stuff and that you're not a filmmaker because, you know,
well, and that's the thing too is like the Nitro Circus thing.
I'm not a videographer.
Yeah,
Like
you're a
that,
filmmaker.
I'm a filmmaker
Yeah.
because I couldn't go do that stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if
I
I, had
mean,
like
you could.
You could.
I probably-
You could hang, but it would
You
have to
did
be as
iFit.
comfortable for you.
iFit
I
was
probably could.
iFit was more videographer than filmmaking.
we set it up though to be filmmaking
I mean, yeah,
though, you know?
yeah.
Like, but like to go run, like grab a camera and go film Mr. Beast though, you know, and like have all that readiness, like that's not me.
Yeah.
Like I'm used to having my first AC, my second AC. I'm used to having my keys.
Charles doesn't
So
have
you're
a
like, where's the slate? What do you mean we're already rolling?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly,
yeah,
you know,
like-
like,
Charles
oh-
doesn't have a gear bag with a running gun light, a
Yeah,
shotgun
yeah.
mic, a DSLR with a wide and long. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't
Couple of
have
Shelby
that.
batteries,
Sony,
like,
yeah, batteries.
yeah,
like I don't
like,
have that.
yeah,
like
that's
that's
not
not,
your
me.
style. Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and that's why I'm saying like there is a
There are
difference.
separations.
You know?
Dakota was, I don't know if I can say this, but Dakota was showing me some like behind the scenes of some of the shots that he's done with Beast,
Mhm.
and like comparative. Like I haven't done obviously a huge feature film with you guys or anything, but the difference from a Mr. Beast shoot to ours is unbelievable. They have like our floor from here to that wall is wires touching all the way. It's like you went to one of the largest raves you've ever seen, and like they have that much cabling going everywhere. They have 300 GoPros in a box, and it's just like
Yeah.
like I can second. I will say I can. You guys taught me how to second. You put me up against 5,000 cables though, and 300 GoPros. I'm
See, but
starting all over.
It's I'll argue that a little bit though, because that's the difference between videography and filmmaking. Because
Mhm.
you're learning filmmaking.
Yeah.
When you say that, I think about when Nitro Circus, when they gave, if we walk into a room, they give us a box of like 40 GoPros, and then they
Have
say
fun.
go shoot the day, and like me and Dakota look at each other with Chunky, and we're like, I was like, okay, I'll take 5, Dakota take 5, you take 30.
Yeah.
If I can rig and you can rig, we'll rig for you, Chunky. Chunky message us when these people are here. And we
Yeah.
just internally
Mhm.
created this system like that,
Yeah.
where we went out and documented this event and then come back to Nitro and we're like,
Here.
here you go.
Yeah, we did pickups on GoPros, and Chonky was like main GoPros. So like whenever we could place one, we would, but it was all Chonky's thing.
And then
By
Chunky's calling us
supporting
like,
him, yeah.
I'm in the pits. Can you throw it on the yellow car 32? And then
Yeah. And
you're
number
running
7's
out onto
coming
the
back, so I'm
track.
gonna go
and
pick up 7 because number 5 is gonna go on a race, so we gotta swap that to 5.
would
Like, yeah.
never happen on Ford versus Ferrari. Ever.
No.
You would have 300 people with checklists. You'd have guys on microphones. You would have spotters. You would have closed tracks. You would have
Stunt coordinators,
the
like
full
So pick your
12.
flavor. Josh
Yeah.
and vanilla guys.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
They're two different types of ice
So
cream.
like
both
to,
fun.
exactly.
to that
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
completely different game, but they're both fun.
Yeah,
Like
they're
I
cool.
have just
Yeah.
as much time as like documenting that as I
Yeah.
do making a movie because it's its own
Some experience.
like it's its own puzzle you have to find out.
I think the only thing we haven't mentioned is you please be okay with being one or the other.
Yeah.
It's okay to be a videographer. It's okay to be a filmmaker. You don't need to be a videographer and be pushing yourself to something you're not, because in the end it's going to make you look like a bigger idiot and you're going to fail.
I was like, I think you're only just
Yeah.
hurting yourself in
Mhm.
that, because if you meet a real filmmaker
Yeah.
and you say you're a videographer, or
Other way around.
right? You're just shooting yourself in the foot, because a real
Yeah.
filmmaker is going to know what you lack on, and a real videographer is going to know what you lack on.
Yeah.
If again, Charles could probably do the same to me, and I could do the same to him in those types of scenarios. At this point, we're probably pretty like well balanced out,
Yeah.
but you could argue that like a videographer could screw himself over, or a filmmaker could screw themselves over in certain situations by thinking they're the other.
100%.
I might say a filmmaker can probably survive in the video world, probably a tad bit more than a videographer could survive in the film world. But I also think it's all about personal level. It's all about how you adapt. It's all about how you know what's
Totally.
going on. But that being said, showing up to set with a Canon Rebel with a matte box on it, you're gonna get roasted by everyone.
On a film,
Don't pretend to be a filmmaker with your little video
Well, even-
camera. Like, understand your division. Like, I don't know, people that are apples looking to oranges to figure out how to be. It's like, no. Take
I had
cues from
that.
apples.
Here's
Figure out from other
here's a
people
great
that do what you
example
do.
of that
Like,
exact happening, and Charles knows what I'm gonna say. High School Musical pre-COVID, I got hired as a camera operator to come out when I was in the videographer world. I got hired to come out because I was Action Sports, Nitro Circus. They had this action skate park scene. I think we talked about this on
We
last
talked
podcast.
about it. Yeah.
And Charles and all the guys are filmmakers on set, all the crew. I show up with a DSLR and a Ronin to shoot how I shoot, and I got laughed at.
Yep.
Everyone
Yep,
on that
everyone's
set, I
watching.
lost respect on
Yep.
that set.
100%.
Everybody looked at me and goes, "Who's that scooter kid?"
Yeah.
If I would have had, say, a big Ronin with a red on it,
Yep.
with a different setup, I think I would have got a different.
Or an
Different
Alexa,
result, different
or an
respect.
Alexa Mini. Like, did
Yeah.
you even talk to the direct or the DP and talk about like cameras
Shot
and
matching and-
any of that stuff?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got hired. The director came up to me. Somehow she loved me.
Mhm.
Luckily, Brent made that connection. I didn't even talk to the DP. I didn't even sit with the crew. The director, mistake number one, had me sit with her. Which, what do you do in that scenario? But
Yeah.
so not only am I that guy coming on set, sitting right by the director,
Yeah.
but then I'm that guy with a DSLR thinking he's a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Like it probably hurt me a little bit in the Utah world, as I just came in on High School Musical, one of the biggest shows,
Biggest
and
shows
I'm
in
like,
town.
and they like sat the crew down and had me go out there and shoot this, and it was probably like a
No, it was. I remember everybody sitting there going like, "Who the hell is this kid, and why is he out there?" Because we have like, you know, these freaking awesome Steadicam operators and other camera
you had an
operators.
arm out there, like a
Yeah.
full jib arm.
Oh, 100%, dude. Like, we're
Scorpio.
talking about millions of
Yeah,
dollars
dude.
of equipment, you know, like Alexa
Pulls up those RSC.
XTXs
Oh,
and like
man.
all this stuff. And then like there's
Here
this some
comes Scoot.
punk ass kid that comes in with the freaking DSLR. Like, why are we doing this? Like, it was
It was
just,
stupid.
it was pretty stupid. And
I
like,
look back on it now,
and
and
funny.
if I were
It's
you,
funny.
you should have punched me or something and been like,
Get rid of that
"What's
shit.
up, little
Look outta here."
bitch?" I don't know.
So
but-
basically, what I'm hearing is if someone on your Instagram is telling you gear doesn't matter, they're a videographer. Because it sounds like from the filmmaking world, gear makes all the difference.
But it's
just
funny
true.
though too, because I always say though too, it doesn't matter what camera you have.
the
If
camera
you-
that you have is the one that works the best.
If you know what you're doing,
Yeah.
you can make it look good.
yeah.
I mean, we
and, like-
shot a movie on a helium like not long ago.
Yeah, that's almost a
12-year-old
Yeah,
camera?
12-year-old camera, and like we still use it. But like
There's
even
been
a,
4
even your
different models of
phone, like,
Reds.
there's things you can do to like make things look good if you know what you're doing.
If you know what you're doing, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
It's
Do
interesting.
you coming out of school think that, not calling any teachers out in specific, but do you think the curriculum is outdated?
Yes. Yes. I will say this.
At least here in Utah.
At least here in Utah, at least here from my personal experience. I can't speak for anyone else. I can speak only for myself. I basically, mentally, I divided my professors on 2 teams. The adjunct professors, which are people currently working in the industry and then coming and teaching classes when they can, like Dallin Serva or Marcy Gibney, or like my color grading professor Aaron Hinton or Jacob Fenn. Like lots of people that work in the industry full time, actually know what's going on right now, how things are actually done, and then come and teach us that. And then you have like legacy professors, is kind of what I nicknamed them. It's people that, yeah, they worked in the industry 5, 10, maybe even 20 years ago. And so they're teaching you how to set up C-stands and how to do book lights and stuff like that. And like it's like cool. Yeah, like we use like aperture lights on set nowadays. Like it's just like totally.
Everything
kinda,
connects to an iPad.
Yeah, everything's like you should have had a DMX.
What's an iPad?
Are you blackout? Like how are we using blackout? Right?
What's blackout?
Exactly.
Where's the
It's like,
switcher board?
What's a teradeck? What's a nucleus? Like they just didn't get it. They did not get it. And so no, I definitely feel like the curriculum does have some outdated things, especially matching with what is. I would have really preferred if the curriculum matched the market. So I really think that there should have been a class in our curriculum that teaches you how to make commercials, how to do a spot ad, how do I do a 15-second, 30-second, 45-second spot. Like, is that a marketing degree? Maybe, but is that how a lot of filmmakers in Utah end up making their money?
I was about to
that's
say,
the market here.
Yeah.
kind of what we're diving into. Do you think there should be a videographer class and then a filmmaker class?
Damn, that's a good question. I don't know if the university would specifically delineate between those two because I don't know if they necessarily acknowledge YouTubers and other run and gun creators as like an actual career at this point in time because it's fairly new.
Do you think that's
but
something
I do
that may
think
be
that,
coming?
like a third-party university,
some of those guys
some educational system might be able to teach something that's like that.
Dude, those
Possibly Happy
Take
Rabbit
Possibly like
Academy.
a Happy Rabbit type situation that we focus more on if you're more interested in run and gun shooting. How do I shoot like Mr. Beast? How do I edit like Mr. Beast? How do I do that? How do I make that work? Maybe we do that kind of stuff,
Totally.
But no, there are definitely very separate worlds, and I don't. The thing is like for me, I'm very, very grateful that I got to learn 360 video from someone that knew all about 360 video. But my thought is, as soon as my professor Dane doesn't work at that university anymore, what are they gonna do? They're gonna grab someone else that knows 360. What, like 5 people in Utah know that much deeply about VR filmmaking.
Well,
so it's
they
like
just
when you
won't
have
offer
these
the
offerings
class anymore.
Right, exactly. So when you have these offerings, you have to be able to know that you can supply professors to back that up. And I don't think in a run and gun YouTube style teaching or a videographer style class,
Actually,
I don't know how many you would supply
that's
reliable
interesting.
professors, right?
Yeah.
I think to that though, as these YouTubers are starting to retire, because
Yeah.
we were just on the cusp of this YouTube world
Yeah.
10 years ago,
Rest in
right?
peace, Maddie.
Call
Maddie
it
Gage.
20 years from now, as those YouTuber style people are starting to retire, maybe we'll see those videographers people coming into colleges to teach courses along that line. But like everyone's saying, who knows what's going to happen with social media, Instagram, and that whole niche. Is it something that's going to fade? Is it something that's going to grow? We're in this weird like
Right
gray
on the cusp
area
of it.
right now
Yeah.
of like social media and what it is and is going to do.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Especially because the people that like, for like Matty H is like someone I really look up to as a creative. He stopped doing YouTube to pursue filmmaking. Like the last video he put out was like, "Hey, I bought an Alexa Mini LF. I'm going all in. Like I'm done with YouTube. See you guys." Like he did it, and he didn't do it by just jumping the gun. He built himself a staircase to get to that point,
I will
which
personally
I think
say
is a lot of what we're talking about.
there is a
Yeah.
lot more money to be made as a filmmaker
Yeah.
than a YouTuber.
I agree.
Oh yeah.
100%. I can vouch for that. I've met all the YouTubers.
The top end for YouTube, you hit it way sooner than you would with filmmaking.
Yep. And I've seen this
Yeah.
in the YouTube world, and even on some of the biggest.
And this in the film industry.
I was like, what was that podcast we did about how to survive November,
Yeah.
December, and January, and February?
Very, very, very good point. I'm trying to think of a rebuttal to that.
There isn't one, dude.
Maybe he can. Maybe he
Next
can.
topic.
Maybe we stumped him.
I feel like with YouTube, at least there might be some consistency. I would hope, at least, like if you have your
you.
following.
It's you. It's how
Oh, no,
consistent
no, no.
are you?
Okay.
Yeah.
To that, though,
Scooter got it.
10
see.
10
Yeah.
years from now, when you are getting hired on a film, you could show your work over the past 10 years. If you had a gap, you could show your work 5-10 years ago.
Sure.
In the YouTube world, it's not as longevity. If you showed something you did 5-10 years ago on YouTube, you're not relevant anymore.
Right.
Unless it's freaking Squid Game.
But if you're a YouTube or if you're a DP, I think you're relevant for your career. If that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
the
I,
relevancy
that's
of the content.
that's the
lifespan of
angle-
content dies
Yeah.
very quickly.
that was the
Yeah,
angle that I was
for
going
YouTube.
with
That's fair.
that.
Okay,
Is
I
like
respect that.
there's
Yeah.
more like rock solidness in like this career versus YouTuber because there's a lot of kids right now that want to become YouTubers.
Right.
So I mean, I was kind of
4 of them right here.
Hey, we're
Facts.
not becoming YouTube. We are.
Damn.
Damn.
I know it's such a funny thing for us to talk about because we absolutely are that right between. We are the Venn diagram. We
100%.
we make filmmaking and we do YouTube on the side.
And
but
we're
that's like our,
we
videographers.
keep those separate.
that's our unique niche though,
Yeah.
and that's where we're trying to like educate and bring
Yeah.
people. Like obviously we're using YouTube as a platform to
Yeah.
do that, but like we're still preaching film.
Yeah.
I would argue, obviously, not argue. Obviously, we're filmmakers first.
Yeah.
YouTubers on the side. But to your
Yeah.
point, YouTube is our platform.
Totally.
I wouldn't say we're YouTubers,
Mm-mm.
No,
but
that's
I think
fair.
once we start doing more vlogs, we might be YouTubers.
if somebody poses or comes up to you on the side of the street and goes, "Steady C4" or like Charles, you're thinking set, not recognizing from YouTube.
Totally, and
Not
it,
yet.
and it actually has happened to me a couple times where I've ran into people at like the rental house and they're like, "Oh, you're like Steady C4, you're Charles, right?" And they're like, "Happy Rabbit, right?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, yeah." And they're like, "Oh yeah, we follow you," or they're like, "I follow your content on, on YouTube or whatever."
cool,
you know. But yeah, it's
Isn't
not.
It's kind of weird for me because like I've been around YouTubers and all that, but that's always so fun when you're on set and like the last person you'd ever think is watching this, and
Yeah.
then they're like, "Oh, I watched that one podcast," and you're like, "People do listen."
Yes, Steven Spielberg
Somebody
comes up to
watch-
us on the next
somebody
He's like, yo, you
listening.
guys, the last episode was a banger.
Our last director on Roughneck, though, he heard we were doing stuff, and he like looked at our YouTube channel. He's like, "I was listening to your guys' podcast last night. It's really good."
Yeah.
We're like, "All right."
But no, it is super cool. When we came to see you, Dakota,
Yeah.
for our first time at UVU.
That was cool, actually. That was actually one of our first. We were on the way home. That was one of our first like
Shit.
people in Utah recognizing what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because we taught a class at UVU for operating and ACing and broke it down over a few days. And in those classes, we were talking to the students about like how we had this YouTube channel and how we're trying to create these conversations to
community,
spark
yeah.
all this stuff. And then you came up to us. You're like, "That's how I know you guys from. Like, I recognized you when you guys came in. Like, I follow you guys on social media. I know Happy Rabbit." And
I
we
watched
like
one
all
of
looked at
your
each other and we're like,
vlogs.
Yeah.
we're like, "There's
It also-
someone
it
here who
also-
knows who
somebody
we
actually
are."
watches.
It also
Watches.
helps that Evan came into Enigma like the week before.
Okay.
He was
Okay.
wearing a Happy Rabbit shirt and he was talking about the van or whatever. So like it was like the pieces were really really close to me already. So then when you guys showed up, it was really easy
just
for me to put them
connected all
together.
the dots.
Yeah. Because like I might have mentioned this on the pod before. I don't remember. Like when I was like I don't know like probably 20, lost, looking for what to do in the world. I thought I wanted to be a pilot. I was literally on Instagram and this freaking blue-haired freak just pops up on my screen. It's like, "That's a big ass camera. Okay." Cool. And like I just had him on my Instagram for like the longest time, and then like paths crossed and it worked out. Like it's just like, I've like always looked up to Scooter for a really long time. And then Charles's Instagram popped up too, because I think you tagged him in something. I was like, "Oh, this guy." Like whatever. Like social
happens.
media, you never know who's watching.
You never know.
never know
And I think that's why we love even if it's 20 views on our videos, because somehow one of those 20 is someone that's like it matters to, and will come up to us on set and be like, "I learned this from that video," and we'll be like, "That's
Bro, I was
20
gonna put all my
views."
stuff in a
Like,
trash bag. I was gonna put all my stuff in a trash bag until I watched the camera bags video. Like that was sick. That was sick.
guess what we're
So
trying to
much
say
information.
is if you see our stuff and it means something to you, let us know, because it keeps us motivated, keeps us wanting to create content, keep it going.
Yeah.
Leave your comments.
Yeah, give us those likes. Give us those comments. Tell us what you want to see next. Tell us what
If you
don't
want
like
Charles's
too. I mean,
address, phone number, social security, just text me. I'll just give it right to you.
I think we should just not tell him, and we should just send out his address.
What are we sending
What?
it out on?
Oh, we'll block him. You
What are we putting it out
gotta
on?
get blocked for like a week.
We're gonna do a private
We'll
story
follow-
with everyone on Happy
You're
Rabbit
posting on the
except for
channel that
Charles.
I'm managing. I'm like, what the hell?
I can't see our stories, but it says we're getting all these likes.
What are you guys doing? What?
Anyways, guys, thank you so much for coming. See you on the next one, yeah?
Well, thank you. Like, follow, subscribe. If you don't want to follow Charles, that's fine. Follow us.
Yeah, follow everyone but Charles.
Yeah, honestly, he's got more followers.
What
than
did I
the
do?
rest of us. He doesn't need
What
more.
did I do?
Follow me.
You have-
Just retweet him.
You have the most followers, so we have to be bagging on you a little bit to get ours up.
Fair enough. If you follow me, follow these guys.
Charles surpassed me in Instagram followers, and I'm not upset about it because I'm proud of him, but I'm jealous. I'm a little emotional. I'll get over it.
We'll
though.
work
See the
on it.
teardrop
We'll
right
work
there.
on it.
All right, guys.
All right,
Thank
guys.
you.
See you on the next one, guys.
Bye.
Boom.
Just jump on Charles. No, we haven't done for a long time. Pick on this guy. Scooter, you didn't